All right, it's bow tie and waistcoat time. Jacket, long sleeve dress shirt. It's time to talk more about Doctor Who, but this time, Jon Pertwee and Inferno. This thing, I remember these back from the 80s. I remember liking these, and then I got this, I guess, several years ago. I didn't get it from when I didn't get it during the 80s. I got it during it was after 2000. But I don't know how people can solve it at all, but especially like there's competitions where people solve them really quickly. Like I tried, but I can't figure it out. It takes a lot of patience and skill to be able to solve these. Rubik's Cube. A little nostalgia for the 1980s for me. Okay, so Inferno, Jon Pertwee is the third actor to play the Doctor in the series of Doctor Who. In the Three Doctors, Jon Pertwee was so that was with the first and the second Doctor, uh, William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. And in the Three Doctors, the first Doctor, William Hartnell, referred to Jon Pertwee as a dandy. So I wanted to give the dictionary definition for that. Still there? All right. All right. So a dandy. A dandy is a man unduly devoted to style, neatness, and fashion in dress and appearance. Origin late 18th century, perhaps a shortened form of 17th century Jack a dandy, conceited fellow. The last element representing dandy, a nickname for the given name Andrew. So that's interesting. So it wasn't a compliment, but it kind of describes uh, John Pertwee's version of the Doctor. Would He was very fancy dressed, in my opinion. Yeah. Most of the Doctors, they did have a very stylish dress, stylish wardrobe. The actors that played the Doctor, especially the ones in the modern day, wearing suits, like fancy suits. So William Hartnell, he wore a suit. When did they stop wearing suits? Well, I guess with Tom Baker, he had the suit jacket, but he had the scarf. I don't think Tom Baker ever had a tie on. But so John Pertwee's Doctor was very fancy dressed. John Pertwee, fancy style, especially Hartnell was fancy, but not. This is John Pertwee was like an extra level. Went to an extra level of fancy dress. So definitely fancier dressed than Patrick Troughton's Doctor. John Pertwee he would wear shirts with ruffles in the front. I think he always had bow ties. I don't think he ever had a regular tie. Yeah, yeah. It looks like he never had a regular straight tie. He always had the bow tie. Troughton always had a bow tie. All right. So and then so John Pertwee had the ruffles in the front, and at the ends of the shirt sleeves, um, they were fancy too because they had like extra material that would like it's difficult for me to describe it. I don't know the exact word for it. It's like very old fashioned. I'm not sure what century this was common, but like this extra material on the sleeve that would just kind of it's kind of hard to describe it. It would come out and it would just be like fancy. You can kind of see it here. Yeah. Here's the ruffles in the front. Oh, and sometimes he'd wear a cape. All right, and then John Pertwee's version of the Doctor was more physical than Hartnell or Troughton. Pertwee would use like karate chops. It was Venusian something. It was, I think at one point it was called Aikido, but I think it was also called karate, but it was Venusian. So he sometimes used this like chop maneuver. But also physically throw his opponents. So kind of hard to imagine old William Hartnell doing that. Or even Troughton. Very different. John Pertwee enjoyed portraying an action-oriented Doctor. So I think kind of influenced by James Bond. So kind of like he was kind of like the James Bond of the Doctors. He would use various vehicles. I remember there was a boat, but it was a very stylish design to the boat. I guess they were trying to make it look futuristic. He probably flew something. I don't remember exactly what, but so he was on the water, he was in the air, and a couple of vehicles for land. I didn't write it down here, but he had something. He had one kind of vehicle that was like uh, futuristic style vehicle. So he had one kind of vehicle like that, like a sci-fi vehicle. But he also had an old-fashioned car. Uh, don't know what style it was. Very, very old style of a car, which it was yellow. I think the license plate said who on it. Uh, but he called the car Bessie. And John Pertwee had a phrase that he used more than once on Doctor Who when solving problems. It was reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. And so he said that probably at least a few times and when he was the Doctor. And they even had later doctors, later actors who played the Doctor would uh, say that they were going to reverse the polarity to do like an homage to John Pertwee, I guess. All right.